Hey, deserving listeners, I thought I would react to psychology videos on TikTok. Let's watch.
3 Sneaky Psychology Hacks, Part 54. If 2 people are arguing, stand between them and eat something. It'll help alleviate the tension.
Okay, again, at least this one isn't absurd. Maybe I need some sort of TikTok scale of absurdity, but what Raquel Olson is saying, when 2 people are fighting, stand between them and eat something, and that will dissipate the tension. I mean, maybe there are a lot of ways to dissipate tension. This could be one of them. Essentially, I think what it's doing to people is they're just distracted or just confused. I guess in the same category, you could say to get 2 people from fighting, stand between them and like blabber like some kind of weird person, or stand in your head and say the alphabet backwards. Yeah, that would probably distract them and get them to stop fighting in the same way that standing in between them and eating something. So it's not absurd, but I wouldn't call it a psychology hack, but anyway.
You want to motivate yourself, ask will I instead of saying I will. This makes you want to do it more. If you want someone to...
Wait, what? So, let me rewind that.
Questions at night. People open up when they're tired. 3 Sneaky Psychology Hacks, Part 54. If 2 people are arguing, stand between them and eat something. It'll help alleviate the tension. When you want to motivate yourself, ask will I instead of saying I will. This makes you want to do it more.
When you want to motivate yourself, ask will I instead of I will. This makes you want to do it more. So instead of saying, will I work out today? As opposed to, I will work out today. When you want to motivate yourself, this makes you, will I work out today? No. I mean, maybe there's research on this that would, I don't know all the research in my brain, but that certainly isn't intuitive based on what I understand about humans to say, will I save money this year versus I will save money this year. I mean, I don't know if either statement would actually cause you to be more likely to succeed, but I can't imagine the question version being more likely to motivate you because there's an opportunity to say no. Will I work out today and run a marathon? No, I will not. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
If you want someone to be honest, ask them questions at night. People open up when they're tired.
Actually, this one is kind of true and also kind of completely untrue. There's a lot of research on tiredness and various different behaviors, including whether you're being honest or dishonest. And there's some research indicating that if you're tired, you're more likely to be honest. There's also some research saying the more tired you are, the more likely you are to lie, actually, because it just depends on what's happening. And this, I guess these TikTok videos are giving me an opportunity to talk to y'all about how statements like lying or honesty are much more complicated than I think we often talk about them. That when you are, it depends on what requires more energy, right? So if you're tired, and either mentally or physically, it's harder to put more effort. We all understand that, right? It's intuitive. And it affects, sometimes most of the time we understand that physically, right? If you run a marathon, it's hard to run another marathon. But it also applies to brain power. If you study all day long, it's hard to read. It's hard to think. You just have to stare at a TV for a while because you're depleted. So if lying requires more energy than telling the truth, then you will tend, on average, when tired, to be more likely to tell the truth. Can you still lie? Yeah. It's not like being tired makes it that you can't lie. But the opposite can be true as well. It might require some effort, more effort, to tell the truth than it does to lie. And in that situation, you'll lie. Did I reverse that? Anyway, I get, so it depends. Does lying require more energy, or does telling the truth require more energy? Whichever that is, if you're tired, you're going to be more likely to take the easier road because it's easier and you're tired. And I'm trying to think of an example, like if if let's see, just trying to put it personally. Let's say that I told my wife that I'm not going to eat all of her potato chips that she hides in the pantry. and I eat all the potato chips in the pantry. And at the end of the day, I'm tired. And she's like, did you eat all the potato chips in the pantry? And I'm tired. And in that situation, for me, lying would require a lot of energy, I think, because lying means I have to like put on a face and be like, huh? Where it's much easier to be like, yeah, I ate all the potato chips in the pantry. So I would be more likely to tell the truth. Being tired would push me in a direction. It'd be another factor in me telling the truth. But there are other situations where telling the truth actually requires more energy. Like, say, my wife is a horrible, evil human being who might actually. Is that a thing? Or how about this? So, what led me to eat the potato chips in the pantry is actually a really long story where I, thought I had potato chips in my space and I didn't have them. And I looked for them and I actually went to the store and they didn't have the particular potato chip I wanted. So I called my mom and then my mom had them, but she was busy. And so I, tried to go there. And then eventually I, went home and I found them and I was like, huh, that's weird. There they are. Maybe God wants me to pitch it. And then so it's this long story. Okay. That's the truth. But that's a long story. It would be easier just to be like, no, I didn't. Okay. So I hope I demonstrated through a ridiculous analogy or example of how it depends, right? So that is, like I said, Raquel Olson is saying something that's kind of true, but also kind of false.
Psychology tricks to make somebody nervous or give them butterflies when you're in a conversation with them. Say their name, okay? When you're in a conversation with somebody who's new and cute and they say your name and you're just like, you can do that to somebody else. There's a reason why Rihanna wrote a song about it. It's hot. Just do it.
Yeah. Might that be one thing among many that would attract someone to you if they were open to being attracted to you? Yeah. But to call it a psychology trick that will cause people to fall in love with you, just say their name. No, of course not. So, but, as a tip for social interaction, yeah, sure.
Mention something they've told you about themselves. What school they went to, what kind of foods they like. It can literally be anything. But if you bring that back up in conversation, they're going to be like, aw, they remembered something I've said.
Yeah. If this is framed as, these are some potentially helpful tips regarding social interaction that might help you in life. Yeah, 100%.
Do I remember anything they've said? Straight up, just check them out in conversation. It's not that hard. Just do the classic, up-down look, but more seductive, and they're gonna be nervous as shit, thinking that you're interested in them, which might just make them interested in you.
Well, now that one I would never recommend. I would never recommend. Okay, prior to knowing just upon meeting someone, essentially is what only Us is saying, is you just meet someone or you barely know someone and you want to get them to like you, you like them. And so subtle, scan their body while they're watching you, make sure that they see you. That's the whole point. And really just and what only Us is saying is but if you do it in a seductive way, then they'll be like, oh my gosh, they're checking me out, which might just make them interested in you. Yeah, there's a lot of mights in the world. There's a lot of possibilities in the world. Might that work? Yeah, but I would give it a much higher percentage that you're going to creep someone out and bother them and objectify them, maybe even mildly trigger them in terms of traumas about why is that, what are they looking at? Might it work? Yeah, but I would never recommend that.
But I do think it's really interesting. This is to throw someone off their game. If someone is in a state of flow, say you're playing against them in darts, pool, golf, whatever it might be, compliment them on how well they're doing, and then ask them what they're doing with a body part that has nothing to do with the activity.
Yeah, actually, that could work. It wouldn't always work, of course, but physical flow states are often a result of repetition and practice. You have a golf swing, and you practice and practice and hone and practice and hone and feedback of like, oh, that time I shanked it. Oh, that time I hooked it. Okay, that time it went straight. And every time you're not physically remembering how you're doing it. Your body is encoding and there's so many different nerves that have to fire in this, sequential way, in this particular way in order, especially with golf. It's like, sometimes you got to arc it. Sometimes you got to have some touch. Sometimes you got to really whack it. And so when people are good at golfing or darts, as Alexander is saying, people aren't thinking like, okay, do this, right? It's a flow state. It's something that just happens automatically. And one of the ways that you can screw yourself up, and any athlete who does these kind of precision sports or activities will tell you, is if you focus on part of the movement, it'll screw you up, because part of being able to do it is to not think about it. You have to not be in your head. You just have to think, I want to throw the ball over there. I want to hit the ball over there. I want to hit the bullseye. And that intention connects with all the various different nerves that have to fire at the exact same time in order for that to happen, because you've done it 10,000 times prior. So yeah, that one, will it always work? Absolutely not. Might it kind of work? Yeah. But why would you do that to someone?
Are they playing darts and throwing with their right hand? Wow, you're on fire. What do you do with your left hand when you're shooting? Both the boost to their ego and the attention to something that has nothing to do with the sport is enough to throw someone off their game. Like and follow for more. Okay,
so her explanation of why it works is not what the research or even what people would say is the experience. In fact, I would say it's if the idea is like boosting their ego will actually cause them to screw up. I don't know. I don't. Maybe there's research on that, but that doesn't sound right to me. I don't know. I'd have to see the research. But anyway, let's go on to the next one.
Here are some hacks that will make your crush like you according to psychology. So the first of all is kind of weird. It's to wear something that resembles a guy's clothing. So when your crush sees you in something that is like an oversized shirt, apparently he's gonna start thinking about you and his hoodie.
If Angel Gray were to say, here's a little tip that I think might work some of the times that I just invented, and I kind of feel like it worked for me one time, then I would be totally fine with it. But that's not what Angel Gray said. Angel Gray said, according to psychology, this is how you get your crush to like you. No, it's not true. I mean, there's so many things wrong with the whole presentation here. Again, it'd be fine if you said, here's a little tip that I found that might work for y'all. Okay. Anyway, let's go on to the next one.
This one psychology hack will have people chase you, more invested into you, and it's one simple body language trick. But just a warning, this can be used for manipulation.
Do they all just follow the same playbook? This is one psychology hack that you'll be able to manipulate other people, either to extract money from them or to make them fall in love with you. Possible warning, because you have to use this ethically. It's just the same thing. But sometimes it actually pans out okay. But let's see what Selna Kim says.
So if you can handle that, then let's move on. In the pickup world, there's this concept known as the push-pull, where you pull them in with compliments and making them believe that you like them, and then immediately push them away. This is also known as mixed signal. It makes people obsess over you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just recycled over and over and over again. And this has been happening for decades. I've been hearing this for decades. It's the whole negging thing. Okay. It's frequent. I would say 1 out of 6 TikTok videos about psychology is this idea. And you would think that after a while, people would be like, well, other people have covered this. I don't need to cover it. But apparently not, because they keep saying it. I've talked about it before. I'm not going to repeat it again. I'm just going to say no.
This trick, you will be simply pushing and pulling with your body. Let's say the scenarios that you're having a conversation with somebody. When they tell you something more personal, you lean back. For example, No way, really. What happens when you lean back is that they start to second guess themselves.
It possibly, if they're insecure, if someone did that to me, I'd be like, what's wrong with you? Or, huh? Why are you, I just told you that I like, a ham and cheese sandwich and you're backing away from me. Like, what's happening right now? It might cause a lot of people to not like you at all. Plus, if you want to get someone to like you, how about you just be a human being? People like human beings. They like people who are honest, who are genuine, who are, compassionate, who listen well, and aren't constantly trying to manipulate them. The other thing I'll say is, if this does work, what kind of person are you attracting? Someone that's like so insecure that they're completely easy. And I guess, if you're abusive, then yeah, that's what you're looking for.
Ask themselves, damn, was that too much? And this causes them to lean in, which means that they are investing more psychologically to get you to stay. And then you lean back in right after. Oh yeah, that's very interesting. So you continue to go back and forth. Not too fast, not like you're swaying, but just in the key moments to get them to continue.
So Selna Kim is focusing on the body language only. Just lean out. He's not metaphorically speaking. He's saying literally lean back and literally lean in. Yeah. I'll just say no. Might it work with 1 out of 100 persons? Sure. But there are much easier ways to get someone to like you.
3 easy psychological tricks to study faster, part 1. 1. Study for 20 to 25 minutes and then take short breaks of 1 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, actually, I don't know the exact research, but that's in line with my understanding of the research, which is, and it doesn't, oftentimes, that's not the recommendation, and that often isn't the way that schools operate. But our brains tend to do better with bursts of 10 to 20 minutes of activity and then relaxation, and then 10 to 20 minutes and then relaxation. It doesn't always work for everyone.
And then repeat. This is called the Pomodoro technique. Our brain remembers information better in small bursts. 2. Try to explain the information to another person. This will help you understand.
Yeah, this is a well-known thing and there's various different studies and angles to this. Because traditionally, the idea is that you listen to a lecture and then you take a test. But learning and memorization and other kinds of things is more active than that. That you listen and then it helps if you re-engage with the material. So you can re-engage by explaining it to another person, doing flashcards, listening again, taking notes. If sometimes people take notes and they don't even look at their notes later, but the fact that they took the note in the moment, because they're hearing it, they're writing it down, they're looking at what they wrote, it just is more reinforcement to the brain. So yeah, and as a professor, I'll tell you that, most of my learning came from being a professor trying to explain it to other people.
Learn the information better because you will concentrate on the important stuff. 3. Go to sleep right after studying.
Yeah, again, it depends. And you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to study the last half an hour before I go to bed and I'll do better on the test tomorrow. It's not that. There's a lot of different things you have to consider. This one I would never recommend. I would never recommend, like, if you're really trying to learn something, do it right before you go to bed. That wouldn't be my recommendation. The other ones I would say, think about. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.